Trump's policies are taking us back to an era where discrimination was legal and racial inequalities were rampant and accepted because they were coded into law. And we can't stay silent while this happens. What's the solution? As a researcher, I would argue that any immigration policy or executive order should be based on empirical evidence, facts, not alternative facts, but real facts. Policymakers should look at the research on what immigrants bring to the country and what Muslims bring to the country. And also they should look at the negative consequences of these extreme policies that remind us of the very racist immigration policies of our past. We should be learning from previous mistakes, not repeating them. This is what the evidence, the facts, indicate. Family separation hurts parents and children. The American Psychological Association has stated that the longer parents and children are separated, the greater the reported symptoms of anxiety and depression are for children. All we need to understand this harm is the recent audio released from one of these detention centers that shows children crying out in desperation for their mothers and fathers. My own research has shown that children are traumatized when ICE hunts down their parents. One young man told us of how his daughter was cutting her hands with her own nails because he had an impending order of deportation and was supposed to leave the country. It's not just families separated at the border, it's families that are broken apart in their very own homes when ICE raids those homes. Families should not be in detention centers, and let's call them what they are. They're concentration camps. Because when you strip immigrants and refugees of their human rights, that's exactly what we're doing. The president of the American Academy of Pediatrics visited one of these concentration camps for children under the age of 12 and reported that such a situation could have long-term devastating effects on young children who are likely to develop what is called toxic stress in their brain once separated from caregivers or parents they trusted. This disrupts a child's brain development and increases the levels of flight or fight hormones in their bodies, Kraft said. This kind of emotional trauma could eventually lead to health problems such as heart disease and substance abuse disorders. But these policies don't just negatively affect immigrants and refugees and their families, they also affect U.S. society, us. They affect U.S. citizens.
Mommy.
For example, the travel ban on immigrants from Muslim countries will affect our country's ability to attract the best and brightest of the world to study at our institutions of higher education, and will prove detrimental to securing talented individuals to work in our leading industries. And let's not forget that banning refugees is a stain on our country. Future generations will judge us on these actions, and it's up to all of us to stand up for what's right and to make sure that we support evidence-based policies. Let's face it, we're at a turning point in history, and today we're going to hear from a variety of people with different perspectives on this moment in time, and we should listen carefully to them and learn from their experiences. So let me end with one quote from a famous poem by Martin Niemöller, who was a prominent Protestant pastor who emerged as an outspoken public foe of Hitler, yes, Hitler, and spent the last 7 years of Nazi rule in concentration camps. He said, "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak up for me. Let us not be the last ones left. We need to speak out now." Thank you for being here.